Hello to everyone watching and listening, and welcome to the first episode of our new BME podcast. We are a group of biomedical engineering students at University Pompeu Fabra, and we are going to explore the world of biomedical engineering and its applications in the realm of healthcare. My name is Gonzalo Plaza, and I will be your usual host in company with Marc Torres, my colleague here to my left. How are you doing, Marc?
Hi, Gonzalo. I'm doing fine. This is exciting. It's the first one, and we've planned this for a very long time.
Yeah, really exciting.
So let's do it, right?
Yeah. And today we also have the pleasure to be accompanied by Laura Martinez. Good morning, Laura. How are you doing?
Good morning, Gonzalo. I'm really fine. I'm really excited for this first inaugural episode. So let's start.
Nice to have you here. And so it is also our duty to shout out our other members of the team that are here behind the fourth wall. Ana Barredo, Esther Guillén, Salma Imtahar, Adriana Royuela, Marcel Socorro, and Zaid Al-Hakiwi. In this first episode, our guests, Professor Oscar Cámara and postdoctoral researcher in his group, Jordi Mill, are going to let us first understand what biomedical engineering is and what approach the UPF takes to build us as competent professionals, as well as their main projects currently being developed and their opinion about the job landscape in our field. So why not start presenting our guests, Laura?
You're right, Gonzalo. We are really fortunate to have these two exceptional guests here, experts in the field. So let's first start with Oscar Cámara. Oscar Cámara is I'm sure lots of the listeners of our podcast will know him because he's a full professor here at UPF, and he has been the coordinator of the degree for lots of years. You have studied a degree in Telecommunications Engineering at Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya. You have done also a Master and a PhD at Paris in image processing, so you are an expert on this area, on this field. And you have also been in London, in King's College, doing a postdoctoral state. So you are a really nice guest here. You are going to explain really interesting things here, so it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Yep. On the other hand, we have Jordi. Jordi finished his bachelor's degree in biomedical engineering, just like us, but in 2018, here in the UPF. He was already fascinated with the simulation field, which has embarked a lot in his career. His final bachelor's degree project went through in London in an internship, which was his first attempt to simulate big things. Then he did his master's degree in the Universitat de Barcelona, which he ended with his final project here in the UPF in collaboration with Oscar Cámara. And this started a long-term relationship where they focused on on predicting thrombosis in auricular fibrosis, and this project was finished in his doctoral thesis, which was also done in collaboration with Oscar. Apart from that, Jordi has also been in many places all around the world, doing many internships and other projects. And so we are very pleased to have you here, and we are happy to have you. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for inviting us. It's quite an interesting experience to be here. So yeah, really looking forward. 35 minutes, or is not a lot to if we start talking about biomedical engineering or our long relationship.
There is another chapter more.
Yes, and yet another chapter of our relationship. No, but that's a very good initiative. Thank you very much, guys.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah. And you, how are you, Jordi?
The same. Thank you for having me. As I said, when you proposed me that, I think it's very nice. We didn't do that in our generation. So that's nice. I think that it can be very funny to be in this podcast with Oscar because our relationship didn't start in master's. Actually, it started with a bachelor degree because he was also my tutor. So it's, I think that 9 years or 10 years. So it's, sometimes I have the feeling that I see you more than my family. So, so yeah, no, thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome. We are happy to have you. Just to introduce to our listeners for biomedical engineering, our first question would be like how you see our career and what do you think biomedical engineer is? And this is a double question to see what's your point of view of the biomedical engineering and our degree.
This is a really
It's
open question,
a
actually.
complex question.
Yeah. So what do you think UPF? What approach the UPF takes to build us as competent biomedical engineers?
To answer this question, so that's my opinion. Maybe Oscar here can think differently, but at least in my generations was very clear that, so biomedical engineering is very broad, you know. It means a lot of things. You go abroad and the meaning that biomedical engineering they have in UK, for instance, or in America is different that we have here. But even here, it's very different. For instance, when I started my degree, a student from UPF, it was very different from Universitat of Barcelona and very different from UPC, Politècnica de Catalunya. Because UPF, from my point of view, was a mix. You have a lot of engineering, or half of the degree is engineering, let's say calculus, algebra, all image processing and this stuff. And then you did also medical courses. The feeling that I have is that we are in the middle, and then you have UB, that is very clinical. The people that I know from there, that it was my generation, is focused on hospitals. A lot of helping there, a lot of medical devices, but focus on hospitals mainly. And it makes sense because, you know, they have the hospital clinic next to them. And on the other hand, you have UPC, that the 2 first years is completely a normal engineering without knowing what is a cell, you know. So this can be very broad, and for sure this affects also the path that you take afterwards. That's my point. I think the next question, I don't know if this you want to answer, but it was how I see the field, yeah, right? I think that it's promising. I think that the first generations, we were a little bit struggling at the beginning because it's what you say, what is biomedical engineering? So it's, okay, you end up, you do a PhD, or you go to pharma, and that's all. Now I think that this is changing. It's a feeling that I had already when I went to, especially London. I had the feeling there that they were like 1 or 2 steps in front of us. And in that sense that they already adopted the biomedical engineering in the hospitals, not as a person who helps a physician that, you know, has a research project, so then it's like a research assistant. No, it's like we have a department of biomedical engineers that they assist all the physicians, all the specializations independently, doing pre-surgical planning, artificial intelligence, whatever. I think this is changing. You can see a year ago that the department in the Hospital Sant Pau was created just for biomedical engineers, and now in Vall d'Hebron, you can correct me about that, but it's happening also this year. So I think that now it's easier to identify what do a biomedical engineer. That for me it's a bridge. It's a bridge between the physicians and the engineers, how to adapt the technology that you can have, that you can develop on the hospital. That this is not straightforward.
So, I mean, to complement what Jordi has said, I mean, these days I'm teaching what is biomedical engineering to the first year's students. Yeah. So this question, you should answer them if you look at the notes of the, of the subject. Well, you know, as Jordi was saying, it's super broad. And in the end, when yesterday I was looking, whatever generation, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, and I was looking in LinkedIn what the people were doing right now, because we were discussing, wow, there is a lot of people doing a PhD. And it's true, there were 6 or 7 doing a PhD, some more on the experimental side, biology, etc., some or data science, etc. But then, looking at LinkedIn, a lot of people in consulting. Mm-hmm. I saw one in Ernst & Young, and other type of companies, but some more medical devices, some clinical field specialists.
Sales?
Everywhere. Yeah, and sales a lot. And then, so knowing this, my feeling is that if a good student is motivated, is independent on which university will do the degree, right? I mean, in the end, you will be in the market and you will be a good professional here and there. It's true there are some slight differences, but it's really difficult to compare, right? In which metric you compare if one university is better than the other. In the end, it's true that the cliche is that UPF is kind of in the middle. For me, the most important thing that happens at UPF is that the students learn to work in projects, in a project-based manner. And I think this is quite unique and useful. And just what the alumni tell us, that it was very helpful for them to really have even not the question. So the students in these project-based subjects, they even need to look for the question. And it helps a lot to really understand, okay, when you are out, sometimes this is what it happens. If you want to be an entrepreneurship, nobody is going to come to you, hey, this is the question you want to answer, right? So, and this is something really appreciated by the alumni.
Totally, yeah. I think it's a very challenging, and certainly this medical device project that we're currently doing is very challenging.
Yes.
Just to find the need, right?
Exactly.
But I feel like the projects are really helpful, and also they're useful, as you were mentioning in some class, I don't remember, that whenever you have to do your CV, or when we have to ask for recommendation letters, that actually these projects help us upgrade our CV and see if we want to do a master's in some related space. Well, we have already worked on that, right?
And you will put
that's value.
And you will put we organize a biomedical engineering podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
this will
No, it's
flash.
totally true.
This will flash
Sure.
in the. It's
True.
super important for the students. I mean, there is so much talent, and but you're not going to put in the CV that I've done calculus or I took an 8.5 in calculus. Nobody cares, right? But if you start doing a bit of these things, this flash and this, you see it.
Yeah,
Totally.
maybe from my point of view, the big problem is to not have 5 years to do the degree, because I feel that we are always like, for this kind of orientation of our degree, that we have many projects, many practical classes. Like for example, in programming, we have like super long projects, and then we have also an exam. And from my point of view, it would be super nice to have like a full year to for example, do bigger projects or altern big projects with subjects that don't have that many big projects.
But you have TFG. I think that this is a little bit the advantage of our degree, that you have TFG, that actually you can spend a lot of months on that.
Yeah.
Because the other degrees and other colleagues that I have, as I said, around universities worldwide, they have maybe like 3 months, 2 months, it's like a very short.
Definitely.
And actually a lot of the TFGs that we have here, you're going to spend, if you want, with Oscar, is always saying to our students, you can start in September if you want.
No, for
so
sure.
It's like,
For sure.
this is the part that you can spend.
We have all started in September, and we
Here
are
right now, we
super
have all
busy
started
right
in
now.
September.
But yeah, for example,
But maybe you can take 5 years. So I have the example of Rosé Sanchez. Actually, she was doing a very nice TED Talk just a few days ago. And I think that she's a great example because she's right. And in our generation, it was like the stupid claim or like the pressure that you have to finish in 4 years. And she said, no, I wanted to do it in 5 because I'm not enjoying it. And she did it in 5, and you see the career that Rosé now is doing. I mean, she had an interview even in the CNN, so it's like...
I had some drama discussing that with myself because I wanted to do this big project that I have told you. We can maybe talk this in the podcast about our TFGs someday in the near future. But I had this discussion in my head to maybe like, whoa, let's have a big project and then have a full year for the TFG. But then you are like, okay, and what I'm gonna do when I finish the first trimester this year, on the 4th year of the
we
degree?
have not many.
Yep.
subjects.
What do I do?
That's what he means.
What do you mean?
This year, on the first trimester, we have like 5 subjects, and then for the second trimester, we have only 1 obligatory subject, And for the last trimester, we don't have any obligatory subjects.
You work full time in your TFG. You do practicum.
You enjoy life?
You prepare. No. You cannot enjoy life. I mean, you need to prepare the CVs for applying to masters or to interviews for companies. I mean, you won't have time.
No, I
So, this idea of, I have a full year for the TFG, this is not true at all.
No, I mean, it's not enough.
Exactly. So
I feel like this, but...
Wow, but this is research, huh? And you will never finish research.
No, I know.
Jordi and myself, we could work 24 hours, 7 days, every week, and you will never finish work. Never.
Yep.
I mean, you will always have things to do because we have our hat on professors, but also on research, on managers of academia, etc. So, but this is research, and the TFGs, this is what is interesting. They are very related to our research, and that's why sometimes it feels a bit like disappointing, like I haven't finished. But with a good TFG, you will never finish it. This topic, it's just really a state of the art.
Another thing about these TFGs is that I've noticed, for example, when we're going to have this meeting about the TFGs, there are people who are not doing our degree and are doing TFGs related to medical devices or biomedical engineering, let's say. And I have a big question that has always popped in my mind since I started the degree is, actually, I can do other type of career and come into biomedical engineering, and that's your case. For example, you studied telecommunications, and then you came to biomedical engineering. Do you think that biomedical engineering is the best option if I want to develop a career there, or is it better to be specialized in a field like telecommunications or physics, and then come to biomedical engineering doing a master's? Because we feel that we are not specialists in engineering per se, or nor medicine. And that's a problem, and that's something I really thought about many times. Do I go and do this, and I think many people also thought about this.
I was in a conference 1 month ago in Germany on biomedical modeling, and there was a debate, and I said that multidisciplinary is bullshit. In the sense that the system doesn't help you being multidisciplinary. Because you will always be the silliest in a room. The
Jack of all trades, master of none, right?
Exactly. The chairman was saying, so you need to get used to be a clown always and just learn. You will always be learning. It depends, right? I mean, we have former biomedical engineering students that now they are working in software companies as developers at the same level of skills as someone doing computer science. This is a degree, huh? Then you will start working in a company or whatever, and you will get the experience, and you will become a specialist further on, right? It depends on the type of job you are after the degree or what your career is. So the thing is that obviously after the degree, you will have certain different skills than others that they have done another degree. That's clear, right? I mean, if you do computer science, you've been coding a lot more than you, right? So, but it depends on what you are going to do. Because if you, after the biomedical engineering degree, you do a master on whatever, data science or computer science, etc., and you start working in a company like this, in 5 years you will be somewhere, but you need to be motivated and you need to like it, right?
Yeah, and one big advantage is what we can give to these companies or researchers is that we have this interdisciplinary, but it's difficult to sell that. I think it's difficult and easy to sell.
I don't agree. I've seen people with, I'm not going to say names, very well-known researchers saying that they are simulating organs of the body and knowing none about physiology, none. But they are talking, among other kind of people like this, then comes a guy like Bart that he knows a lot and say, hey, what are you doing? I mean, the heart, for instance, is not beating like this. So, I think that, as I said before, you have guys a gift, that is that you can do a bridge. very well. I mean, you know enough. Maybe you have this feeling that you know enough about all the topics, but you know a little bit of them. And then you can do very well the bridge. You can identify very well the need that you have to fulfill, how to move. I mean, what do you need? And then, okay, you will hire or you will contact with a specialist, and then you will make it work.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, it's like I have the same feeling as Gonzalo. I think I know about everything and about nothing, but I mean, in the sense that maybe electronics. Now you put me a project of electronics and I have to investigate, but this is part of the life, so...
But that's teamwork.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
true.
You will look for a guy who knows electronics to help you to solve a clinical problem that you know how it works, I mean, the physiology of your body.
Everything has advantages.
I mean, now is what Oscar is saying. I'm saying like very multidisciplinary teams, and you cannot do in everything alone. That's my point of view.
But something different is, as an individual, being multidisciplinary, and something different is working in multidisciplinary teams, right? Because what the system promotes is that you are a super expert on something, and then you sit next to another super expert on something, right? You get the best computer science guy with the best biology guy with the best mathematician, and just by magic, that you put them together and things happen. And this is not true, but the system promotes this. You need to be super excellent in your niche, and then, okay, then you talk with this one, and that's not true.
Yeah, but maybe you don't know how to talk.
Exactly, that's the thing.
And you cannot understand each other.
Exactly, and this is what biomedical engineering is becoming so important in the hospitals, to bring the hospital to this century. Hospitals in the next years, in the next 10 years, 20 years, it will be very critical these years to really have the revolution there. Not even the digital revolution, the AI revolution, the data revolution, and just do an optimization of all the processes in the hospital. This cannot be done without biomedical engineers in the hospital. And as he was saying, you said, when there is managers in a hospital that believes in this and they put resources, things happen. And this has happened in places like in London, in the Netherlands, and now it's happening here. Otherwise, the hospitals will be working like last century. And with this, nothing like AI and all this will happen, right? And you are key for bringing and doing the bridge between these technologies, the people that knows a lot about how the fundamentals of deep learning and all this works, with the reality of the mess of the data in the hospital and the needs for the clinicians. So it is super exciting.
And in maybe let's get more specific about your group, PhySense. How do you think? And we're also more interested about the left atrial appendage occluder. I mean, appendage occluder. We always talk about that. So, and how do you apply this multidisciplinary aspect? And what are the different? Let's say, what is the project itself, and what are the different aspects that you are touching on currently?
Go ahead, you are the boss.
Well, this started 7 or 8 years ago. It's super funny that, I don't know, we are kind of brainwashing you, and every biomedical engineering student at UPF knows about the left atrial appendage, that you go somewhere else and say, what? What are you talking about? And it's something quite interesting. It's a fascinating structure in the human body. I mean, nobody knows why it's there, kind of, and structurally and hemodynamics is super interesting. And we have done a lot of different things. And I mean, personally, I'm not a very focused researcher. This is not very good.
We've seen you've published like 15 papers this year with your name on it. In Google Scholar, you have like 12 to 15 papers.
Well, I mean, but they are
super multidisciplinary.
These are real people. Yeah, but because I'm not focused, and this is not helpful. Don't do this at home. But But then, I mean, we've been doing things like virtual reality and augmented reality just for fun. It's not that I know a lot about it, but it looks super interesting and fun to play with. And in the end, there were some interesting things. So we've been working on data analysis, morphological analysis based on image processing, etc., and also the simulation parts. And it's a super complete project, or we are touching almost every aspect on the left atrial appendage side, and this made us really super unique worldwide. And it looked like, whoa, what this guy is saying, but it's true. I mean, there are known groups worldwide that they have work in all these different aspects. You have the people who have done fluid simulations, or others doing a bit of data science, etc. We touch everything, and even we are working really a lot with the clinicians and developing interfaces and kind of something close to an end user product. And this maybe Jordi can comment on this, right?
Of course.
How is this to talk a lot with the companies and the clinicians and bring all this science or research into, okay, I want something useful for
people are definitely interested in knowing this.
But yeah, actually, you got it right, Oscar. So, and it was just because Oscar is a little bit chaotic in that sense. So, we, without knowing, we were developing for years like the workflow to create like a pre-surgical planning without knowing. No? So the idea is I finished my PhD and there was a company, Boston Scientific, now I can say the name, and they were interested to use simulations to improve their devices, to know the weaknesses of the devices from a hemodynamic point of view, because it's very related with thrombus formation. I mean, if you have blood ectasis, you develop thrombus formation, so blah, blah, blah. And they want to check this with simulations. Okay, then Oscar, Andy, and myself, we thought, okay, maybe we can do business about that. But what's the point? That there was a need, but at the end, the players that there are in the market are few. I mean, there are 4 or 5 companies doing medical devices. So to make money, it was not enough. But now is when we put together all the work that Oscar was doing, because a lot of physicians, they were telling us, for us, simulations is also very useful, but we are not going to pay only for simulations, because the information that we can extract from simulations is only the last part of the planning. There are more critical points before. And this is medical imaging processing, like the interface playing with which devices we can put there, and so, and then you run the simulations. So then it was, okay, but we have developed that, so let's put it all together. So at the end, simulations is like our unique point, but...
Don't touch the table.
Sorry. Our unique point, but we need to develop all the stuff that the other people was doing, that we have been doing also. So now on this project, basically we are trying to do that, all the planning process in a time that also is very important, that can adapt to the hospitals, because from the point that the patient enters to the hospital, is diagnosed, and okay, let's go and undergo surgery, until the surgery, it's 2 days. So you need to do the planning and the simulations in 2 days. And all this knowledge is not as straightforward.
But what Jordi is doing, I could never do this. I mean, Jordi is working on regulation. Jordi is talking with a lot of investors. I don't know how to talk to an investor, really. I mean, I don't know how an investor looks like.
How do you do it? Can you touch on that?
But to be honest, it's much more difficult for me teaching. Because I'm teaching, I have a responsibility, and it's like my students. With investors, to be honest, it's true that at the beginning it was I was very intimidated. Also because at the end you're talking, at least now I talk by myself, amount of money that for me it was 1 million, 5. It's like okay. But at the end it's like doing a lot of times. And the first time you talk with investors, they told you, okay, you need to be more mature on that. You need to mature your product. You need to improve that. They give you feedback. And then it's all about practice. Even talking with investors for me, is the first time you talk with them, I would say that they are them who are helping you. And then after several times, okay, we can talk about real stuff.
I would really encourage students and people, okay, maybe you have an idea or you've just go ahead. Jordi has followed a lot of different local and regional entrepreneurship programs, like from Barcelona Activa, from UPF, etc. That they gave you a bit of peanuts, but the most important thing is that they put you in contact with good mentors, and they really teach you what you need to know. And Jordi was in Cambridge in a super nice environment of people that they have made millions out of investments, no?
So actually I have a story in Cambridge. So it was a program that it was very intense. You have teaching for the morning, and then during the afternoon you had to work with your mentor about your project, and then the last day you do a pitch. And it's Cambridge. So the people that was there, it was very important people, like the VP of AstraZeneca was member of the of the jury, and they destroyed me in the sense of but not in the product. The product, they say, okay, the technology is great.
Was it individual or was it in groups?
So the pitch, it was you alone with the jury.
Oh,
but
right.
You were in a group during all the week. But they were telling me you have to be more ambitious in that sense. It's because I was at the beginning, I was kind of, let's say,
being humble.
I wanted to play safe. Okay, I don't want to say, okay, I'm gonna make 5 million, 6 million. These are the cases that are done in Spain. So this is the amount of money that can do. But they were telling me, I remember that, the VP, especially of AstraZeneca, told me, okay, technology is great, but with these numbers, it's not going to work. So what money do you have to ask to develop, for instance, your technology, not only to do left atrial appendage occlusion, but another surgeries, and then your numbers, and then you're not bluffing, you're not saying nothing that it's not true, go up, and then you have a margin to make money. And in that sense, it changed a little bit my mentality, because it's okay, I'm going to be ambitious, but, without selling smoke or without bluffing.
Definitely.
So
what if you do a subject like that here at UBF?
Well, you have subjects entrepreneurship.
The jury from the medical devices.
Yes, it is.
They are entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna sell big then.
In the end, you can try to have a subject, etc., but this is just practice. And really jump into the jungle, right?
Get crashed.
Yeah. Oscar is saying that, but as I said, it's now I'm doing this because I just started doing my PhD 2 or 3 years, and this in Cambridge. I was last summer, so I'm still crashed last summer, and so it's move on, get feedback and move on. But it's for me there is no magical path or a magical receipt. It just you need to have a very good team. I think that we have a very, very, very good team, not only of PhD students, but developers, as Oscar was saying, in our research group, that allows you to have a very good technology, but also from UPF now they are helping us to get in touch with investors, to help us with the parts that maybe we are not experts on it. For instance, all the financial stuff that I'm learning. So it's impossible to do this alone. So you need a very good team, as you are, for instance, now doing this.
One tip. Could you say maybe one tip for investors, or maybe selling your product for everyone listening? Because we're gonna have to do it basically, and people listening are interested, I guess. Confidence.
That you know what you show that you know what you're talking about, right? And I mean, this is the key,
They-
right?
yeah.
What?
They love that you can prove that what you are saying is true. That's why it's so important the team, because maybe I'm not an expert in artificial intelligence and I'm saying that I can do this with artificial intelligence, and they say, okay, you? I mean, what's your CV? And this is very important. And the same with the numbers. There's people, when I do these pitches, they know the market much better than me, and they can do calculations about the market much faster than I do, just because they know more than me. So it's like, be careful when you try to do this kind of bluffing. That's why I was so scared at the beginning not to do it, because they know it. They know also they know how the market pay for this stuff, how they can increase.
Yeah, they also have a team that have done research before talking to you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
but there is
exactly.
something. It's going to sound really like marketing thing, but know your client,
Exactly.
right? Know your client, and this is something that it happened to us for a lot of years. It's just who is going to be the end user, the clinician, and we know we've been in hundreds of interventions, so we know exactly which are their problems. And this is something that sometimes happen in some engineers. They are there in the lab, and they don't go to where and who is using the product. And this is key. I mean, if you know very well this, and sometimes we know even better than some companies, because we are there all the time, right?
Show the value.
Yeah, and also you have to do the same with your investors. Also, I mean, you have to do research about the investors, because
Exactly.
not every investor is fit to join you. I mean, if you go, I mean, if you bring an investor and then you don't match with this investor, it would be a nightmare, and all the company will
Sure.
will be gone.
And we know
years.
some
We'll-
or CEOs,
and we have
And-
experience on that.
yeah.
So
former alumni from the degree that they end up in startups, where a startup created by a clinician with certain, let's say, a strategy or ideas. They hire a CEO because they need to have a CEO, and after some years, their ideas were completely different and they broke.
it's a difficult balance, because you have the push that you need money, but knowing that you don't need to rush, because if you bring the wrong person on board, it's a problem.
And you need to be lucky also. Obviously,
Yeah.
there are some things. I mean, the other kind of entrepreneurship or adventures that I've been involved a bit. This Mi Wendo is a total success, but the key has been having the right people from the very beginning, and very pushy, and knowing the technology, having a great CEO, fantastic clinician really on board, and all aligned, super aligned. And then just patenting the technology, doing patents very early on, and then asking for investors, money, projects, and then having a bit of luck, and then miracles happen.
Good work and luck, let's say.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you a question about going abroad, because do you think recent graduate students, like, do you recommend to search opportunities abroad to recent graduate students? I don't know if I have to explain.
It's a very personal thing, right? My life, it's like it is because I went abroad. And when I left on a train, 12 hours night train from Barcelona to Paris. I didn't know the impact that was going to happen in my life. I saw my dad crying for the first time in my life, and they say, maybe something strong is happening here. But I didn't know how it was going to impact. And I've lost some things. I mean, I don't know, my relationship with my brother and sister wouldn't have been the same because I left, right? Probably would be more intense now than it is. You always have a balance, right? Having said that, no doubt I would recommend it personally, right? The problem is if you want to come back, sometimes it's not that easy, right? You reach certain conditions, salary conditions, and environments in some places that maybe they are difficult to replicate in here. It's not all about salary. I mean, it's easy to say, right? But it's true. But there are more and more opportunities, and we've seen students going abroad and then coming back, and others just staying abroad, and maybe some willing to come back and not seeing the opportunity. These days also, there are more and more works where you can work remotely, right? So if you want to work remotely, I mean, yeah, just come to Barcelona, why not, right? But yeah, I mean, it's a really nice experience. I mean, it opens your mind clearly, right? And Jordi tried to...
But it's what Oscar is saying. I think that you need to try it. You need to try it, and then you see if you like it or not. To be honest, for me, after being, it's true that not a long stay as Oscar did abroad, just short ones, I still prefer living in Barcelona. That's the truth. I mean, for instance, Boston, you can say it's very cool, all the university, it's very cool, but the city, I prefer 100 times Barcelona. Oslo during spring, summer is awesome, but winter and autumn is super hard. And actually the people living in Oslo, my friends in Oslo, are coming during winter here in Barcelona or in the Canarian Islands to go to the beach, So I think that, as Oscar was saying, all has pros and cons, but I will strongly advise to try just to open your mind, because it's true that rather than salary, rather than the weather, I think that it's knowing people that think very different from you. And all the friendships that I did abroad are very special for that, because they give me a lot of things that I couldn't find here.
Thank you so much for that. Really, I think we're all here thinking about maybe going abroad.
Someday.
I think everyone thinks about it to have their own adventure.
Don't go to New Zealand with kids. The small kids.
Right.
Okay. We'll note that.
Just note that. Not maybe for right now, but...
Well, I mean, the first generation this summer, I think, some of them, they got together because some of them, they had their 30th birthday. And they were like, wow, we are becoming very old. And then we were saying, okay, maybe... I mean, some children are starting to come by at some point.
Oh, well, friends of my generation, they are
married. They married.
Yeah. Not me, but...
Do you feel this is close, Laura?
No, not really.
Getting personal right now.
Yeah.
Getting personal.
Yeah.
Okay, that was great. Great conversation. I think we touched upon all the points that we wanted to touch. Definitely very interesting points for all of us. And thank you so much for being here. Thanks to our listeners also and all our watchers. And see you in the next episode.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.